introduce myself first. I'm Kathy Hasty. I'm the Early Ed Instructional Coach for the district. And I have two co-presenters with me today to present the Grand Prairie SAMR instruction model in early education. How many of you are familiar with the SAMR instructional model? If you're from Bonham, you should be. If you're not, you're going to learn, but it's just an overview. So don't think that it's going to be an in-depth thing. There will be follow-up professional development for if you want to know more about everything. But at Bonham, and this is also a district vision too, at Bonham and at Crockett, this is something that we're definitely going to be implementing this year with our instruction. So let me introduce my co-presenters. I'm going to let them introduce themselves actually.
Hello, my name is Jasmine Gaines, and I'm a pre-K teacher at Bonham.
And I'm Crystal Diaz, and I'm also a pre-K teacher at Bonham.
Our objective for today, we will become familiar with the SAMR instructional model and how it can be implemented in an early education classroom to elevate student achievement. And then your product that you will be working in groups to create, I will create or improve a lesson using the SAMR model that shows substitution and augmentation. And right now you don't probably know what either one of those are, but you will in a very few minutes. So we'll come back to that product when it comes that time for you to work on that. Okay, just looking at this picture right here, the digital classroom. I want you to talk with your table mates for a few minutes about what exactly you might see if you were to walk into a classroom that was digital.
I might in my bag, so I have it.
I don't have that or with no digital.
And not just teacher presenting them, but being used as tools. Not just as a presentation.
Yes, probably.
Maybe ET part of an interactive ball, be part of
Okay, who wants to share out? What kinds of things would you see or your principal see if you were to walk into a classroom that was digital? What would the kids be doing? What devices might you see?
iPads, they might be working together, they might be working individually. There might be individual computers, whatever devices they have to use.
Okay. Anybody else?
Devices used as tools rather than just a presentation or let's play on this game, or they would be more secondary to the subject matter, you know, as a device, as a tool rather than just the focus of the lesson.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, well your vision of that may change in a little bit, what that actually looks like. Okay, technology must be integrated into the curriculum. This is the district. When you are purchasing materials like iPads or computers or iPods, anything that you want for your classroom, those things have to be approved by the district with a very intentional plan of how they're going to be implemented in the classroom. So when they look at that order, when technology department looks at that order, they look for the very specificity of how you're going to use them in the classroom. Not just, I want all of my students to have iPads and fill them up with apps, or I want a Promethean board, or I want every student to have a computer, a laptop. That's all good, but what are you going to do with them? So it's not about that. They're looking about how the students are going to be interacting and using that technology. curriculum-based. So what do we expect students to learn, and what products are we asking them to produce? They're actually going to be producing something, not just using them like Ms. Mack said as going to Brain Pop. What are they going to be doing with Brain Pop? What kind of product are they going to have to do? Every time they go into the computer lab, every time you hand them an iPad, what do you expect them to do with that tool that they're using? And so not only does it need to be curriculum-based, but when you're putting an order in for the district, they need you to think about, is it research-based? Which is going to be bringing us into the SAMR model in a minute because it is research-based. Okay, when asked, what device has been integrated into the classroom more successfully than any other? What do you think that is?
It's computer.
Anybody? Computer? It's actually the pencil. It's the pencil. That pencil has been around for 115 years. It's outlived the chalkboard, which most of y'all probably don't remember what that is, but I do. So it's outlived the chalkboard and a lot of other things, tools that teachers use to engage their students. Now, there's many brands of pencils. There's many kinds of pencils. There's mechanical pencils, there's your basic yellow pencil, there's your colored pencils. Some are better at some things than others, so you're going to use a special one to make the drawing. You'll use a special one to make a blueprint, to write a letter. But in the end, they're all just pencils, and they're tools that we use in the classroom to promote learning and engage our students. But do they? Does a pencil by itself promote learning and engage our students? Just the pencil? No, it's how you use the pencil. So we know that kids today were born into, especially if you're in early ed, they were born into the technology world. They know it perfectly. Backwards and forwards, they can pick up a device. I've seen little babies with phones and they're sitting there and they're using it. They're babies, they're not even a year old yet. And I don't know about you guys, but if we go into the computer lab with ours, and the first thing that they do until they're taught at the beginning of the year is try to touch the screen. And those computers are so outdated, this doesn't exist anymore, but that's all they know. So the way our kids like to learn today, they're 21st century learners. They need to collaborate. We need to teach them the way they want to learn. So they need to collaborate, they need to be able to create, they need to connect, and they need to be able to communicate that. And you can do all of those things through technology. And an example of what that looks like, it's not just bullets there. More interesting? Tools we use in the classroom to promote learning and engage our students. So not just having the computer sitting there, not just having a pencil, but how are our students going to interact with that? So what is a digital classroom? Anybody have a different view now? Okay, I will read to you what the district says a digital classroom should look like. An environment where students are use digital devices that support their style of learning that is seamlessly integrated into the curriculum in such a manner that they are never thought of until they need sharpening, like the pencil for over 115 years. Think about that pencil. We take it for granted. That's what if it's too low, if it's ended its life, it's too short, end of life, we throw it away, we get another one, right? If it needs sharp, we don't even think about it until it needs sharpening or it needs something done to it. So that's what we want technology to be. It's seamlessly into the curriculum, and we don't even think about it until it needs sharpening. Okay, so This is think, pair, share, or just with your groups, fine. What types of technology are you and your students currently using in the classroom? And what types of technology would be the most appropriate for early education students? And if you're not an early ed person, that's fine. This was for early ed, but if you're not, that's fine too. Think how you could use it with your students, no matter what you do. And then we're going to share those out.
I'm sure there's tons of stuff on this. Ice station was the period when we made the ice station. We have tests.
So what does digital learning look like in an early education classroom? Like, can you give me some examples of what you all talked about?
We talked about the Promethean boards, how that's really appropriate for early ed. It's just so interactive and huge, and they really enjoy that. And we talked about how we used it.
What kinds of things do you do on the Promethean board with your kids?
We use it a lot in whole group, but we also have it as a literacy center. So either the teacher creates like a tree map with letter sounds, with letters or syllables, or there's a lot of games.
So it's interactive.
Letters. Yeah, it's interactive.
And they're collaborating.
Right.
And they're
They're
creating.
creating.
They're doing all those things in the 21st century. Anything else?
No? Okay, so this training today, we're going to be talking about, of course, the SAMR technology integration model. And all of the ideas that we heard were great, but this model will allow us to take it to the next level. And so we will get into that. This is Dr. Ruben Puentedura, and he created this model in the 90s to not only encourage teachers to integrate technology into lessons, but to also allow students to take responsibility for their learning. So there are 4 levels, and the highest level is redefinition, which allows total freedom for students to create their own assignments rather than just complete the assignments that teachers have given. And like
you have this PowerPoint, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You have this PowerPoint, I sent it to you just before you got here, so if you want to open it up in your technology and take notes, or however you want to do that. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
It's okay. This model has 4 levels, the lowest level being substitution, where technology literally just acts as a substitute for the old way of learning, and it goes all the way up to redefinition, where the students are actually creating something. The product will be their own work rather than just, like I said, something that the teacher has given, they fill it out and that's it. Research has shown that models like this yield student success because the very top, the transformation stage, promotes critical thinking and, things like that for the kids. And this slide right here just shows you that The lower two levels of the SAMR model, substitution and augmentation, are meant to enhance lessons, but the top two, modification and redefinition, actually change, and it's literally transforming the lesson. So the lowest level that we just talked about is substitution, where technology acts as a direct tool substitute with no functional change. And since we're all teachers, we all love coffee, so we have an analogy for you. On the left, you have a cup of coffee that you can make at home, right? And then on the right, we have a cup of coffee that you can go get at Starbucks. The product is essentially the same. The delivery is different. So, like I said, the product is the same. The only thing that's different is going to Starbucks is a little bit more efficient. Here we have a classroom example. On the left is a bubble map that was created with pencil and paper. And then on the right, we have the exact same thing, it was just done with technology. So this would be an example of substitution. And for all of our early ed learners, here is a pre-K example. So a lot of times we do read alouds and we ask them, okay, so draw us the main character. Here, technology was used, but it's substitution because there was no functional change. The product is the same. Although technology was used, a child could have done this with pencil and paper. It doesn't really require any critical thinking skills. The second stage is augmentation, where technology acts as a direct tool substitute, but with some functional improvement. So the product will be very similar to a product in the substitution phase, but there is minimal improvement involved with the augmentation stage. So here we have our coffee again. On the left is the coffee that we can make at home, and on the right is coffee that we can get from Starbucks. Now, we still have a cup of coffee here, but we just added maybe some cream and some ice. So the product is still, you know, coffee, but it's just a very small change that makes it more delicious. So here we have a classroom assignment. A student was asked to write a word, define that word, draw a picture, and a sentence using that word. Can anyone give me an example of an augmented version of this assignment?
Typing it? Just typing it?
Yep. Typing it. Any other ideas?
We use Cornell notes. In high school, we use Cornell notes.
Maybe going online and looking for clip art to
Yep.
put in the pictures.
Yes. And that's what we have here. The product is essentially the same as the one before, but here we have some improvements. We have the clip art pictures. It's typed up very nicely. You could add maybe some links to it. You can use, what is it, the dictionary, online. But does this require lots of critical thinking? Not really.
Because you're just finding answers and finding facts and putting in.
Exactly. And here is an early education example. So before, a student created a picture, possibly with their finger or stylus or whatever. And here, the child is still creating a picture, but there is minimal improvement because the app that the child used had, you know, shapes and things, and they used the shapes to create the picture. So it improved a little bit, but not much. And here is just showing you that the two that we just went over, substitution and augmentation, are to enhance assignments, but it doesn't drastically change the assignment given, and it doesn't promote lots of critical thinking to go with it. And with that said, she'll finish off the two.
Okay. So the next level of the SAMR model is modification, and it's just basically a redesign of either the assignment or the product. And our real world example is for the coffee. And on the left we have an iced caramel macchiato, which is
a lot better. It is coffee, but it has been transformed using, you know, syrups and different flavors and even whipped cream. So I think it's a lot better than the regular coffee. Okay, and here's an example of what a modification would look like. On the left, we have just a basic book report that, you know, worksheet that they can just fill out with the answers. And on the right, they actually used a program called Comic Life, and they made a comic strip out of what they would have written down on the worksheet. So it's pretty cool. What do you think the students would remember most? The worksheet of the book report or making the comic strip out of the comic? Yeah, and it's something that would stick more. There would be a little bit more critical thinking skills used. And I mean, if you use more critical thinking skills, it's obviously going to stick. Okay, and an example for early education would be to just take the picture maybe in the augmentation stage and just combine it with the Chatterpix app, which you can add animation and sounds or some kind of reporting.
Have you seen the Chatterpix?
I'm sorry?
I've Chatterpix, you take a picture, you draw a line, and you actually take your picture and you can actually talk for your drawing. So they are, you know, bringing in language and the creativity involved in making and becoming that creative play where they become what their picture is.
So when you go to redesign a lesson that you've already done later, then you might want to use Chatterpix, and you'll have a list of apps that you can use to help transform just a regular lesson.
Okay, so yeah, right here, they just drew a picture maybe in another app, and all they did is went to Chatterpix like Ms. Nan said, and maybe just added a recording, or you know, they kind of made a story with their pictures. And the last level of the SAMR model is redefinition, which means that the product or the SAMR is just transformed, like completely transformed. So it's no longer just a basic, you know, assignment given. Now the students have been able to transform it or to change it completely. And here's our real world example again. Coffee on the right, or on the left, I'm sorry, and on the right we have a spiced pumpkin latte. So I mean, it's a lot better. It is still, you know, from the coffee, but it has its own recipe. There's been a trademark from Starbucks, so I mean, it's something you can only get at Starbucks, and it's been completely transformed from its original state to something way better. Okay, and here's just an early education example where the student just basically made a video or some kind of little presentation. The teacher made a student blog or a class blog. The student was able to post it, and at the end the student asked questions that the community can respond to. So that's completely transforming what the teacher would have asked for. Okay, and like Ms. King said, the modification, the redefinition stages in the SAMR model are to transform lessons, not just 10 hats, and they're transforming them. And that's what we ultimately want. Okay, so I want you to turn and talk to your table buddies and think about how the SAMR model would connect to the Bloom's taxonomy that we always use in the classroom.
into the letters and actually rename the file, and then.
How many do you have to do over? Did he tell you how many you can put on?
No, I took a photo that I have on my laptop, on my desktop, and I just.
So is all your stuff in full?
Not all of it, no, I just have documents, but most of the time, so I look at what's on there, more than I look at my documents. Those are so old. But I'm really not good at that. Probably the first time we I don't know the segments like so, you know, as much as I would like to do something over and over, you really want to do that. Since then, it was, the only thing and that one lady, maybe for how long she put on some of these, this was a lot of, some, it was all of them. But I did, you know.
You understand what's
I can move that over, that one thing out of it.
That's what you want to do.
Absolutely.
Did he tell you what it was gonna take on?
No, he didn't say. He didn't I didn't even know how to do that. Word documents.
Does anyone have anything that they would like to share with us about how these two are connected?
Now, I see some of you have gotten very resourceful and you've gone to the next slide, which you can share some of that information out as well if you use that next slide, because that's just being very resourceful there, and maybe it gave you some ideas of how the two connect.
Really? I didn't do that.
You didn't go ahead?
No, I didn't.
Oh, yay.
I'll know that next time.
I will next time.
Yeah.
We just talked about how Bloom's is kind of, you know, starts basic and you get harder. You know, the questions require more thinking and more kind of just like the SAMR model starts basic and then kind of.
Okay, well, does anyone else have anything to share?
And does anybody have any questions about the S, the A, the M, the R? Because if you're not real clear on what those are, when you start your planning part,
Is the S the substitution, the A the augmentation, the M the
and you have the
modification?
definitions
And it
in the
goes from the
PowerPoint.
bottom to the top.
Yes,
Okay.
so today, not yet, but in a little bit when we separate, and start working on a lesson, it says in the product that I will, depending on time, just go those two levels. If we have extra time and you want to take it to the next level, because we are gonna share these things out, you might get some great ideas for, your classroom. But you can take it all the way to the top if you want, if you have time.
So Kathy, is this model gonna be for all grade levels?
Yes.
Okay. I know we're speaking specifically for early childhood.
Yes.
But it's going to.
All the way up. This is the district vision. So when the technology went out to present to other districts about our plan for technology, this was what they used.
Okay.
So yes, definitely. It's their vision.
But you'll be hearing a lot more about who your milestones are coming up for the state.
Right.
Alright, so for those of you that went ahead, you kind of saw what it's all about and how it is connected. The SAMR model, as far as the substitution level, it's only used more for remembering. The students can remember the information and, you know, just regurgitate it back to you. For the augmentation level, it takes it a little bit further. They can understand it and they can actually apply the concepts, but, like I said, we kind of want to go a little bit higher on that. So for modification, they can apply it, they can analyze it, and, they can even evaluate it. So, I mean, that's kind of where we would like to be most of the time. And, I mean, for redefinition, it's just where they can evaluate it and actually create their own thing. So, like the redefinition level, it's just all about creating a new product or a new, any kind of assignment.
It's all about that 21st century learner, if you think about that slide, where they're collaborating, they're creating, they're connecting. Okay, this is just a link for the early ed presentation, so you can click on that and if you want to in your spare time and see one. It's a lot of those slides were put into this PowerPoint right there. That's just for your information, so we can. Okay, so now it's your turn. Our product was, I will create or improve a lesson using the SAMR model that shows substitution and augmentation. And what we'd like for you to do is think about a read aloud that you've done with your kids that may connect to science. It may have a science or social studies or some kind of connection in it. So think about, you've read aloud a big book. How are you going to do whatever you assign those students to do after you've read that big book? How are you going to substitute and augment that lesson? So, for example, if you're working on the 5 senses and you've done a read aloud on the 5 senses, I think that's something we do at the beginning, at least in this level, in the pre-K level, that you can think about, what am I going to do to take that same lesson that I've done and I love, and they seem to love it too, and take it to that next level and incorporate technology. Now, they still have to have their hands on, but how can they use that and take it into technology? Does that make sense? So take it from substitution to augmentation, and you may want to think back to what you do at the beginning of the year, no matter what grade level you are. I know we've got kindergarten in here. What else we have? Pre-K, kindergarten, dyslexia. We have, yeah, ninth grade center. Anybody else that's not pre-K? What do you do?
4th grade.
4th grade. Okay, so think about a lesson.
I'm gonna move to 1st grade.
Okay. Oh, anybody else in your 1st grade? Well, you could probably work with Tammy, because Tammy's kindergarten. Anybody else kindergarten? And you might want to work with her and see kind of what kindergarten does at the beginning of the year, unless you've taught it before and you already have a good idea. Then you might want to work with Tammy. Tammy, raise your hand. Tammy, raise your hand.
Sorry.
And what do you teach?
Care 4 through 5.
Okay. All right. Think about something you teach there. Is that it? I think everybody else is pre-K. All right. Now, you don't just have to stop at those 2 levels. If you've done a substitution and an augmentation, and we still have time because we're going to take 30 minutes to do this, we actually want you to walk out with something that you can use in your classroom. So, if you want to go take it to those next 2 levels, you've got 30 minutes, and you can make that happen. And we're going to take a break before we do that. So you can think, take a break, walk around. Here's some apps, and I'll leave these up. There's 2 slides, and you've got them, but I don't know that everybody has this open. Here's a few apps that show each level if you're going to use a map. So some SAMR apps for substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. Then this slide, a little bit more, the next slide has you even more choices for all of those. Okay, I'm just going to leave that slide up. And then your next slide even takes it to the balloons. It's got the apps there for the balloons.
Holy moly.
So you got 3 slides right in a row that you can use. I know, right? It's hard to see because it's just a picture. So, but you might, all you have to do is put pedagogy wheel, SAMR pedagogy wheel into your browser, and you might find one that's a little bit more clear because that's just a picture that I put in there. Any questions about what you're going to do? Probably want to work with somebody that's doing kind of your same thing.
subject you wanted, science subject, but. That was her. I'm just saying, like, she's gonna say your copies.
So we're together. We're It doesn't have to be. I just wanted an example.
We do all about me. Not about me.
It's all about me.
All about him. It's all about me. That's what we do at the beginning of the year. It's all about me.
Or that's all
Okay, so what you're gonna do with the chart paper is you're just gonna kind of chart each section. What would you do in the substitution? What, app might you pick, or if it's an app, it doesn't have to be an app. And what are you gonna do for augmentation? Those two, everybody needs to have. If you still have time, go on into modification and redefinition. And if you need to take a break, go ahead.
Do what? Isn't there a big book about, or something like that? Well, there's the one about, there's the book about when she grows up, and was whoever, things that came from music and
Well, or you could do like if it's all about me, it's all about their and all that, and then make their goal, like what they're thinking about next year, and then at the end of the year, see their goals have changed.
One, now they're gone.
So you didn't copy them?
Apparently I didn't. I don't like that because now I can't think there's. Now we'll be moving that back. Because I like to get them right off there.
That's where we were. That's why I'm here. My age group, well, back to me.
Because he never came back.
Because you're inviting them.
Okay, so, that could possibly be to do all that. So,
Say that one translate that into
that is, I like myself, or I am special, yeah, Yes, I know it is, so we can use that. Okay, so what are we supposed to do?
Because there's so much.
We're supposed to do that, I think.
You have like orders and all that? No, I have it on the. That includes
So
that.
we're gonna talk about this, their family. Okay, great. So you're gonna do, writing about, I like myself, because. Now, start that out, substitute. I'm gonna substitute that, right?
We can do a picture, take a picture, a selfie.
Yes, they could. And to be right at that point, or?
If it's the very beginning of the
Well,
year.
well, yeah, they're gonna draw pictures, yeah, they're gonna draw pictures, and then do what they draw, yeah, do what?
With the self-connection.
Yes, yes. How I like it.
So there's,
I'm sure they're lovely. I don't know technology.
We used to have kids and they would just like draw. We don't have to fix it.
So, no, we have, whatever that other one is.
No, that's a drawing.
Okay, so.
Yeah, but Picfix was a hard one.
So we're going to, have a draw picture and why they're.
Someone's gotta write this down.
That's the left, so we're gonna read a book, we're gonna talk about items that I'm special, and what's the first thing where, we do, this is me, and then they do the OMAP, and instead of
Circle
doing,
map.
and circle map, and instead of doing that, we could do it on the computer with that program. Would that be a substitution? Because it's gonna look just like the bubble map, but you're gonna do it on the computer. Yeah, so that's a substitution.
We have to write this down.
We do write it down.
Yes, I have paper.
But how?
We have to write down the lessons.
Somebody else actually reading the book on drawing. So it's functionally not changing.
You think the interactive
Draw the audience to, I mean, you're adding some more.
have
But at some point,
have an actual
I
map.
think it's getting ready to be.
How we're gonna do it.
Well, you gotta read the book.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's the substitution. Yeah, it's a substitution. It's a substitution. Circle back is a substitution. But here it is.
Oh, circle.
It looks like a building.
But you put yourself in the middle, right, and then back to the, yeah. I thought that was about.
No, that's.
It looks like an circle and then it has a line and then there's something else. So those are the ones.
Talking about like this or so like you're in the middle and then you're going. It's kind of the same.
But what program is that?
So maybe on the computer, having the board and then it's called pictures of like ice cream. And that, even that board is smell it and touch it. Yeah. So it can wonder a lot of them.
I know we were talking about like the one out against the west.
I look at that, but.
That'd be nice. I like to get to that.
It used to be like Picfix, but now it's not.
They're having to do, but
Google has all the answers.
On the computer.
So it's like a big jump between 2 and 3, right?
Correct?
That's the
substitution. The first one, yeah, that's what I meant, the first one, okay. So now, rather than pull it up, we also.
And so this one would be
They're gonna share it.
Hey, Tammy, is it Kidspiration?
Yes, thank you. It has a case still there.
Kidspiration.
Draw which fruit the caterpillar. I do that all the time.
Picture right there, I have everything about take a picture of themselves. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that.
Put stuff there and I'll.
And I said, here, no,
If you're gonna draw it there,
if they're telling about you, say, let's say I have a dog, and then you go get a picture of the dog and put it out there.
So, if I draw
My
augmentation is gonna be the exact same rubble map put on the product. So if you're drawing through the hood. Oh, this is with that. So then here, this would be paper, crayon. This would be. This is my.
With the chart, and they're bringing in the.
There's one piece. It's just added.
So maybe adding the houses. Like what added the house, it's on that show me, you can do several pages.
Yeah.
Right.
It's something that you're adding.
Well, I think.
Or then just take any more pages this way.
Right. The first one is an opportunity to think about what they want to choose.
Yes, there is. The picture will show.
Right, so it's the same, but it's
Doctor on paper, and then
you know what I'm saying? It's the exact same product, basically, it's the same thing. It's not something that they can do for someone.
Here, and it was for us, it's already in by the teacher.
Well, that's what we're doing.
If it's blind,
So now what's the next step?
teacher goes right, and have the right there. Because they can read, then voiceover, say, this one, with it.
And that would be.
Stuff you have. To actually know what we expect for them to see it.
Because they're creating.
And do it normal. Your academic class could do something.
This year,
The ones I know.
Yes, this year you have to draw, make sure that we can record everything.
And record.
And then you can
record and they're also going to, record all their, you know,
Draw that picture.
draw their picture.
That was fun too. You know, that was a soft
Yeah.
picture.
Yes, I heard of that.
And
Do the voiceover, so it's
And then, yeah, I used that before, I used to start last night, if you don't have a chance. Give it a practice over there.
Is it free?
Yes, it is.
What did it say? What we do, what all kinds of things. I'm sorry.
Right, so they go in.
Oh, yeah, that thing is
Then
that.
they.
Yeah, that would be.
That would be great.
That would definitely,
What would be the redefinition?
Look at you going to the modification level. I'm so proud.
Well, she's not
Well, what about the next?
Oh.
And what?
We can post it to their blog.
Would that be, allowed?
They could do like, putting a blog, a class blog.
But I have
Technology, that's just a presentation.
And
Blog,
so,
and they
right,
blog.
collage on the paper, the people out there with our slides, and the printer that they have everything talk about, or even.
Or in a classroom.
Yes, it is really good. Yeah, so that, the collage.
There we go.
Well, that's what they want us to do for now, So that would be more. Right, so yeah, either modify it. Versus this.
We're gonna get that story.
All right, now we got this chapter.
But then, they take it off from there, because they need to be able to
See, that would be where that's really easy.
So they're going to do this from a
Then I'm just saying, what is it that
Kids act it out, and then we post it to the class meeting. And get feedback.
Let's
get ready for
first. Do what? Oh, they have to take one to three good sentences. Reading, the highest level, the minimum is on the ERA.
Yeah.
So I told higher, that's.
So they do reading.
Yes, they read reading, they read writing, they look for books.
These are
When
the
they
ones
want
you
to
do, right?
read, they get higher, that's even better. And they really want to just show, and a big, not just a little, text.
And her little voice, they can just like,
Yeah.
and then you.
A couple of my kids, they were like.
So it's hard to see, but if you put it on your iPad, you read some of those say.
Out of room.
Oh, okay.
So would that happen on the thing you sent us?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that was fun.
That one of them is one year. That one of them.
He did.
And I feel like since we have to do it.
All of those.
Either bubble or circle.
No, he has three grades.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So the council, I don't know, this is for child.
Yeah, they jumped on to the
Oh, that's
They're holding it, they're kind of holding it.
Is it because his IQ different level. Because I feel
That's exactly like that. I mean, I really haven't, when getting folks, I'm not sure how many times can it has to wait 1 year with it. So it's not so much it's not size, but, and they require body part yeah, so the mom, yeah, so, they're doing by the beginning of next year or this year. Because it's only a year, really.
Right, exactly.
Memorize that, you just have to know that.
That might be one way for them to show it.
Because it's very big stack.
Yes.
I would have finished the night after.
And get involved in
Said before test, and then asked before that, but what I did was exactly someone testing me.
We're gonna give y'all about 5 more minutes and then we're gonna share out, take a break if you're finished and you need to take a break.
Excited he was looking, because it was the first time he finished this test. But still, did not. Yes.
So he was, what is this called? It was just no, it was this called. It's nipping, this girl's nipping, this is a snake.
And from then on, everyone, I'm like, no, that's
Chatterbox. Not chatterbox. I have little chatterboxes in my collection.
yeah, but like I said.
But I don't know, but yes, chatter.
Where they first do the picture, and then we go back and okay, that's really, what is the what is the thing called? So then for like, for like, Thursday, your eyes, it's not called, it's see, a lot of people are looking for it, so that's what we're go back, that's where it is,
Okay, so,
pictures first, and then.
Like you got something
Yes, through trouble, I've been,
Your eyes.
Oh,
okay.
Like, all kinds.
so,
To identify, like, that is what the groups, it is identify. Which body part is this?
Well, no, it came on there, but it's not open. Oh, I didn't.
If we're working this one instead of two.
Yeah.
I can't even know. The one that actually her eye involved, she doesn't know how. It's sharing. Now, my card has. They put a share one. And I don't use it on this, so she's like, oh, if I have a word, should I say everything to start out? And I was like, so I'm looking at me like, yes, that's it, I still don't know how to, it's not have to begin ever again, but I was like, okay, I even need to buy it. Okay, those are like almost $200. Yeah, I'm not doing that. But you can actually buy that, which I didn't even know there was a key for the key. You can buy it
Or keys, whatever.
And, I'm not on the internet. But so, so that is for like $15, $18. So I haven't done that yet, but I was thinking, I think that's happened again. I think maybe I just pushed the button when I was closing the door. That's probably what happened. But I didn't think it would be able to do that. It must have been just at the right. I did it as I was closing the door or something. I don't know because my son, so, I do all lock center.
So not so much the body.
I have no internet, we have no internet. I want to buy that, I know what you're supposed to do. I'm just, it just goes on the back. Is that a mess?
But I guess I'm just, I think our
Okay, oh,
ultimate goal to read the project, because I've already been stuck here for a while. So my ultimate goal would be to be able
like there's two of them.
You want the one that makes the six login or
The monthly one, okay. Glasses for my.
with another class.
Yes,
But I remember.
Well, it could be both. It could either be the item or it could be the body part. Because so now, or women clinicians as well, because they're already experienced already.
you can change that one time. Yes, I have to go back. Oh, and then I have to do it on everything else too. But it looks like I look at it. That is you picture that your son.
He just turned 4 because, let's say how what we did. Yeah, but I did. I wasn't, yeah.
She read it.
But if there's
To what they're, you know, you
I said, really? So they check out me.
Not all of them, there's some kind of.
I have two boys.
What's that?
Jonathan. So either Jonathan would carry the back and.
Which you already have.
I think
They go to Texas.
If I'm sitting on the and so you would like to put your education with you, so you go on your
it's a good thing.
So maybe you should use some time to create animation.
My son, he's now 25. so it's important.
Telling us what they're doing.
Or something else.
It could be, it could actually put.
Oh, wow.
They all went through that.
Okay, clap one so you can hear me. Clap twice so you can hear me. Okay, so we're gonna share out now, what you guys are gonna do to substitute, modify, augment, and redefine. Modify, redefine, that top one up there. Who wants to be first? First group.
Well, we'll go first, we don't care.
Okay, come on.
Well, we just do what kindergarten does at the very beginning, we talk about, how we're special. We talk about ourselves a lot. And then, I can't even see that very well, but for the, substitution, is that the first one? Okay. We thought we could make a circle map and do it on the computer, so it'd really be just what you see, what you would do on paper, then we just put it on the computer. For the augmentation, yes, we could do that also, but use their picture, their photo in there, and it'd be a circle map, and then if they like their dog, they can put, they play baseball, they can find pictures to actually put in there, so we thought that. Now, since I've never done this, so if we're not right, you all let us know.
Oh, you're doing great.
Okay, and the, modification, yes. We thought we would use the Chatterpix, which I have on my iPad by me, where they draw a picture and then they record, themselves talking of how I'm special, I like such and such, or my friend is, you know, just all different things. And then the
Redefinition.
yeah, that, you do a class, have a class blog so that they could actually input their own things into that as far as, or the teacher probably would in kindergarten, of how special they are. So anyway, that's just one little aspect of what we would do with, kindergartners.
Very good.
That's not a whole
And
lot.
thank you for being the first to share. Thank you. Okay, who wants to go next?
Well, we took the simple read aloud of 300 Caterpillar, so holding the book, reading it to you. So you come to school someday and you have learned Jonathan can't talk, so you quickly go to the computer, look up YouTube, and find the book being read online, which is
By the author.
by the author, which would be even awesome, isn't it? Or, to augment that, what we did with one of our classes this time, is Miss Jackie read the story from her classroom, but Skyped into her classroom, and so the distance-wise was getting a read aloud from both classes, which would also get into, you know, conversations back and forth between classes and stuff, and asking questions and things like that. Then we thought about activities that would go with that, as like on the Promethean board, which is like a big whiteboard, is they could have the days of the week, and kind of that sequencing thing, have them come up with the pen and draw what, you know, foods were eaten on which day. Augmented, where they were like dragging and dropping clip art, pictures, things that they find in different places. Modification, we could have them use sock puppets to do the story retell. After you read the story, whichever way you read it, then they could retell it themselves. They could use Educreations, which is kind of like a mini whiteboard, where they could draw their own pictures, voice over, and then it presents their own slideshow with their voice presenting everything. And we thought redefinition might be, after you've read the story, the kids could act out, another kid could be videoing, it could be dropped into the build-a-board on Discovery Ed, including QR codes and Chatterpix, where they draw their own caterpillar, make it talk, tell the story, paper slideshows, those kind of things.
Very good, thank you. Next group.
for substitution, we would draw the three little pigs using an app where you can doodle, like Show Me app. And on the Show Me app, you can record and you can also do like different slides, and you can pull in pictures from the internet or from pictures that you've taken. So for augmentation, we thought they could draw the matching houses, maybe this time using shapes instead of their finger, and adding the numerals. And then for modification, recording their voice counting, drawing the numbers, you know, just recording their voices using Chatterpix or the Show Me app. And then for the redefinition, just sharing your product through a blog or webinar, Skype, or even creating the cartoon and sharing it with another class that's doing the same activity and getting feedback from other students.
We have one more group.
Okay.
Do you need some more time?
No, we're fine.
Okay.
Okay. The 5 senses, it could either be, I used in my classroom, Bartholomew and the Oobleck, and it was 2 weeks. So we used that one once Friday, and then the next one was Green and I was thinking, but then I kind of kept it open for whichever group you want to use. For substitution, use ActivSpire on the Promethean board during introduction of lesson to identify the senses and the corresponding body part. So instead of having a mobile map with, you know, drawn on the board, have that already on the Promethean board and have click art of the different body parts and then having the kids drag them. And then after they drag them, we either write with a pen or have or type the actual name, so they'll see, you know, the letter string there. For augmentations, we had students collaborate in small groups to create a collage that represents one of the 5 senses using the app PicCollage. So maybe borrow some iPads and have them do that. Go to Google or find different things, and each group has a different sense, because then they'll be looking at what do you have for this, and they'll want to use the same picture. So each group has something different, and then they can either walk around and look at it, or that we can put it up there so for them to see it, and then we can print it and have it up there for everyone to see. Modifications, students use Chatterpix or Telegami to create animations of body parts telling what they're used for. In Telegami, it couldn't, with Chatterpix, it could be an actual nose or an actual mouth. But for Telegami, it could be the child pointing to, this is my nose and I use it for to smell, or these are my eyes, I use it for whichever. And then I didn't get to write down, but for redefinition, instead of having, I guess from here it's only pictures, it's animation, and redefinition, that would be a video. And it could be a combination of pictures and animations or actual video, going around and asking people, what do you use for this, and what is this as an apple, what do you use, what are your senses do you use to? So it's not only them thinking, making the other ones think, and then show it to the class.
Okay, you all had some great ideas, and there's a way we can share those great ideas. There is an Edmodo, it's called an Early Educators SAMR Instructional Model Group, but don't think you can't join it. Anybody in this room can join it, and there's the code, and I just renewed it yesterday, so it should be good for a couple of weeks. So if you join that group within a couple of weeks, then we can share. And what I'm going to do is take your ideas, because you all have some great ideas. I'm going to take those ideas, take a picture of them, and I'm going to post those in that Edmodo group, so that you come away with not just what you did, but what every single group did. And you have some ideas of things you can do. So if you want to write that code down, or if you just want to go into Edmodo and join it, you can do that. It is on the PowerPoint, and those Edmodo codes are about 2 weeks is all they're good for, and then I have to go back in and unlock it. So that code will be good for 2 weeks.
Oh, it's
SG7JNF.
F, that's right, okay.
And this is in your PowerPoint.
Oh, okay.
Everybody got that?
Welcome to Chatterpix.
You'll get hooked, I can tell you.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so this is a link in your PowerPoint to the Google Docs spreadsheet that Chad Pope created for you to go in and put, I believe, it's your ideas. Is that right? But Edmodo is also a good place to house that. But if you want a living document where you can put those things that you have actually tried and they've worked well, you can go into the Google Docs, and that link's on your PowerPoint.
The thing about the Google Docs is you also put what level it is.
Yes.
So that really helps with the SAMR model to see exactly what level that's targeted.
And that would be good too, if you put anything in Edmodo to put the level. That way it's in more than one place. All right. So with that, unless you have any questions, we're going to do a little launch. Anybody have any questions? Thank you for being such a good audience. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, Ms. Mack brought to my attention that I don't want you to think that the enhancement levels, the substitution and augmentation are like bad levels. Like, you're gonna have to start there, and you might be there for a little while. It's okay. But, you know, there are times when you're also gonna wanna take it to the next level. But I just didn't want you all to leave thinking that substitution and augmentation are no-nos. It's okay to be there.
Definitely. In fact, like she said, you may just stay there for a while until you're very comfortable with that, and then you can move on to modification. You don't have to do them all at once.
It kind of reminds me cause everybody's done thinking maps. When we first learned thinking maps, the whole idea of having common thinking maps was that you would forget the map and use them as a tool to diagram or record your thinking. So that if, you know, you were getting ready and you were, you know, like comparing two different animals or whatever, you wouldn't think, you would just immediately launch into a double bubble map without even consciously thinking. And that's where SAMR model is going to, so that we get to that point with our devices, that it's not just, oh, look at this cool tool, I wonder what it can do. But as you're doing and creating lessons, and hopefully then it comes on to the kids, as they are presented with a task, then they will go, okay, what tools do I need to complete the task? So that it becomes almost secondary, that the task becomes more important than the tool. You want the learning to come through above the tool.
And to piggyback off that, with our little ones, our early ed kids, they're just naturally inquisitive. So they don't have that, almost the fear like we have that we're gonna mess something up, because they're ready to get in there and try it. So they just can pick it up and use it as a tool right away, where we may be a little, oh, we're not comfortable with that, Tammy. But, I mean, you know, it's gonna be easy for them if you're starting with your little babies that they don't have anything predisposed. Like, I don't know if I touch that, what's gonna happen. Let them touch it, see what happens, they're not gonna break it, right? Anybody else? Jackie and Ms. Mack, before we close, do y'all mind sharing what you did with your book reports? Because that was using the SAMR model and taking the book report to the modification model.
Oh, our animal research?
Yes, the animal research with the, you know.
What we did was, with Ms. Rodriguez, Jackie came and presented it to me. Well, actually I saw her doing a animal research, because kids, you know, coming up with facts, learning about animals or whatever, and so, and they were creating these poster boards with, and using it, you start out with like a web or a tree map or something, and you know, like what he eats, what he does, everything, which is a good start for the kids to know that nonfiction books are books we go to for information. So we got to talking, and I said, well, let's do something together. Let's bring in library and let's bring in technology. So we brought in the parents and made it, because it was still a parent-child project. And so what we had them do was kind of basic, that same thing. They were given a recording sheet. We brought them to the library. They picked a book that they would read with their parents. And then we used the World Book Online, Pebble Go, and then whatever else the parents wanted to go out and look for. They had to have one print source and one digital source. And then after they got their posters made, then they came in and we used Vocaroo to record them with their presentations. And then Vocaroo will let you make a QR code, put the QR code on their posters, and then have a gallery walk where then the parents or people could come and hit the QR code and talk. We wanted to use ChatterPix this year.
We wanted to get to the redefinition.
Yeah, where they can take a picture of their if they drew or whatever animal whether they used a picture or they used, their own hand-drawn picture. But we never could get it into the QR code, to have a way that we could present it, to share it. Now, we could have shared it out through emails and things like that, but it wouldn't be a global thing. So that's our next thing, to figure out how to get it there. And I think maybe if we had to buy the pro version of ChatterPix, we might be able to. But we have to buy it. But some things are worth it. I don't know, I haven't looked at it for you.
So, a simple book report becomes this that can eventually be shared globally. Yes, Ms.
One of
Blair?
the things to piggyback on that, because 19 of our 21 in our class did this too, was that we had to finally time them and say, you can't talk 5 minutes about it, you've got to, so I think preparing them to say the essentials was really important on that, because they would just go on and on and on about what they learned and loved it.
And what was it, your little girl with the other books? She kept taking books home to do another project?
Oh, yeah, I was like, no more projects. Last year, yeah.
And then when we started it, some of them that hadn't brought in like 3x5 cards with projects on it. Oh, and they got interested in it and got their parents interested in it. So it was cool. It was good.
Great, thank you for sharing. Okay, ladies, let me get this started and we can turn the lights out. Oh, it's not showing up there. Okay, I have a backup plan. I downloaded it. Nope. Why?
He said he did something to
What'd they do? Go find him. Well, it's really cute.
Technology.
Do you know what it's doing, Miss Mac?
Right here, on your, when you get down to go to your link,
Go to my link.
right here on your,
Okay, hang on, I gotta find it.
and control click,
Oh, then
or command click, no,
Command.
control click.
control click.
At the same
Great,
time.
it won't come back up.
It's gone this one. Yeah, you gotta get that back up again.
I did.
Start your telling What's your Pebble Gum.
And then, what, I mean, you have to know.
Yes, because it's not here, you're still in liquid.
Bakaroo.com. Your kids will love it. You can create a QR code on Bakaroo.
Make sure it's okay there. I get so excited. I got rid of that.
Let's go there.
Yeah.
Kathy's here. Seen it on Facebook. That's what it's Yeah, that's her right there. Now laying down, no, they're laying down on the, but yeah, I'm just kidding, I don't know.
Your cat's gonna have to go. Not at all.
Yeah, they've been
Lots of places.
feet on them.
Yeah, cause I don't pay for the other. One's in the army. Oh, there it is.
Congratulations, you finished your first piece. What happens next?
I think the computer volume isn't.
Describe Minecraft in one word. What would that one word be?
Building, architecture, unique, creative, everlasting.
We share Google Docs with each other during reports, and then we share with each other and say, can you edit this, can you edit that, and then we can share with our teachers.
It's just so clear. It's easier than looking through your rule house and thinking, where did that book come from?
Hey, thank you guys for spending part of your summer with us. I hope you learned something to take back.
Maybe you can share it with me. Is there any way to share Oh, really? I'm at bottom of education.
They're gonna let her know at the beginning of the year. And the point is, be sure you do.